So, sorry, my name's Patrick Kane. I work for War on Want on our Resources and Conflict programme, and we've, along with Unison Northern and the Northern TUC, we've organised Alfamir's visit over here. And I've worked for a long time with Alfamir and the Women Sugarcane Cutters Committee, and was living in Colombia in 2008 at the time of the strike, and met a lot of the women since then. So know the process quite well. And the whole idea, I mean, there was two parts. The idea of bringing Alfamir over has been around for about 6 months, with partly to speak about the whole situation facing the Sugarcane Cutters Committee, the Women Sugarcane Cutters Committee, but also really the priority is Alfamir's security situation and that of a family, which is getting, as you've heard, it's next week. It goes to a whole new level, and this week has really the priority has been around trying to get some protection for Alfamir when she goes back, and raising the profile of the case, which has been until now a really successful visit. I think we've had a all around the United Kingdom, from London up to Newcastle, up to Scotland, then to Manchester and back here, where she's been meeting with a whole range of different organisations, starting last Friday with a huge event in Newcastle where there was over 150 people. The place was packed out. We had to cram people in, and people were sitting on the floor. And we had Alfamir speaking as kind of the main speaker, but we also had a Palestinian speaker who's my colleague at War on Want, one of our senior campaigners. And from then we've had a lot of trade union support, particularly from Unison, but also the TUC have really responded, and are gonna. There's going to be letters going, a lot of letters being sent to the Colombian embassy and to the British embassy in Bogota. We've also had Alfamir meeting with Amnesty International. She's meeting with the Foreign and Commonwealth Office tomorrow. She's was at the Women's TUC conference this morning. So it's really there's been a broad sort of range, a lot of trade unions who've really responded to the call. And one of the things that everyone's been asking throughout the week is, well, what can we do? Is there anything that we can do? And as organisations, we've put together a draft letter which we're asking organisations to send to the Colombian ambassador here. And I can certainly, if anybody would like that in draft, then if you give me your email at the end, then we can get that to you, and you can adapt it for however you want. But it's got some of the key facts that would be useful for sending. The other thing that we're doing is putting up a page on the War on Want website, so that people can just go on as individuals, and all you do is you fill your name in, fill your email address in, and press send, and that'll automatically trigger an email to go to the Colombian ambassador here, just along the lines of, we know what's happening, we know the Alfamir's case, and we want to know that she's going to be okay, particularly with what's going to happen on Tuesday, and the new danger which this represents. I think it's important to say as well, Alfamir, what she's just given is a very brief summary of the details of the case. I mean, some of them, if you see the whole way that it was planned for 6 months in advance, this murder, there was intelligence that did detailed intelligence about where they were going to take the boys, how they were going to kill them. As soon as they sent soldiers who had participated in the murder to go and then watch the funeral of the boys. They were there from before even Alfamir's family knew that the boys were dead. They were under surveillance. The whole machinery has been brought against them. And just last October, when the incident happened that she mentioned on the bus, and the man got on and put the gun to her chest, they were the Human Rights Office of the Fiscalía of the Attorney General's office in Bogotá told the lawyer in the case, who's Jorge Molano, that this case was the Alfamir's family situation was what they were defining as an extraordinary security risk, and they were an extraordinary risk, which in Colombia, believe it or not, because of the amount of risk that often leaders face, it's not a word that they use very often. So Jorge asked them to say, well, can you explain why is it defined as extraordinary? What's that definition? And they told him that that was reserved information, and they couldn't share that information. So they still had that feeling that they're not being told everything, as well as the fact that the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights have requested the government to take precautionary measures, medidas cautelares, to protect Alfamir and her family since last October, and that call has been completely ignored by the Colombian government. So the letter which we have drafted and which we're asking people to send is along those lines, and saying that, look, the Inter-American Commission for Human Rights is asking for Alfamir's life to be protected, and we're demanding that you actually implement that. Ahora en español. ¿En español?
No. Entonces, ¿todo el mundo aquí entiende en inglés?
No. Sí. Entonces, estaba explicando un resumen de la semana y de la cosa que hemos tenido y la carga y la importancia de la internacional, de la persona internacional.
I have a comment on what you just said, actually, which it would be worth. It just seems the extraordinary degree of planning. I mean, it wasn't a casual assassination, premeditated. Do you think they did it to get at you? Like, for example, when they killed Ida Kulke's husband, it was to get at her. We think that's what happened, right?
Porque por tu trabajo con las mujeres del comité Corderos de la Caña.
No, Alfamir ingresó al comité Corteras de Caña después del asesinato de su hijo. Esto no tiene nada que ver con mi trabajo que yo hago en el comité.
Said, no, I became active with the Women Sugarcane Cutters Committee after the murder of my son, so it doesn't have anything to do with my work as with my activism. Just on that as well, because that's another issue that's come up a lot this week around the senselessness of it, and how they were chosen, and it tends to be with the false positives, as a lot of you will know, that it's young, unemployed men who are desperate for work, often from marginalised sectors of society, maybe it's with a history, maybe have been in trouble with the police, might have different issues which have put them on the fringes of society. And certainly in this case, we've already heard from Alfamir about the situation in Pradera and in other sugarcane cutting towns, which is one of poverty, of very few, of low levels of education, very few opportunities, which is the absolute ripe ground, and that's where they target for these false positives. And it's really that's one of the most perverse aspects of it, that these boys thought they were promised this bit of paid work, and it was only that poverty. Well, another thing that Alfamir hasn't mentioned was that her son had a 5-year-old daughter, and she believes, she's mentioned it in some of the meetings this week, that his feeling that he wasn't able to provide for his 5-year-old daughter, and that he had to go out and try and provide for her, was one of the reasons which was why he accepted this work in Manizales, which was a place that he'd never been to before. Yeah, please.
I just wanted to say thank you, and I think you're incredibly brave, and I'm going to do everything I can to let as many people as I know about what's happened. And thank you.
quería decir muchas gracias, creo que eres increíblemente valiente y puedes hacer todo lo que puedas para hacer que todo el mundo sepa lo que te pasó.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Bueno, yo también tengo un comentario. Pues estoy sorprendida además porque hay muchas cosas que nunca se difunden a través de los medios de comunicación y yo creo que muchos colombianos no saben qué es lo que está pasando en el Valle del Cauca ahora. Tal vez hay como mucho poder detrás de todo ese proceso, por ejemplo, de la compra de maquinaria. Pues yo creo que la mayoría de los colombianos no sabíamos, yo no sabía hasta este momento lo que está pasando y creo que pues es como una manera de acallar la situación y de hacerla menos importante de lo que realmente es. Y pues sí, creo que es excelente que hayas podido venir y sobre todo como poder conocer un poco más de cerca lo que está pasando y creo que todos los colombianos nos tenemos que movilizar y ser más solidarios porque pues obviamente como que desconocemos lo que están sufriendo otras personas en ciudades como Cali, en Valle del Cauca. Entonces pues bueno, yo también quiero dar las gracias por haber venido, por contar la historia y pues básicamente eso.
No, gracias a ustedes por escuchar. Esto fue como un resumen de todo lo que se vive en Colombia, de todo lo que pasa. No es la historia del hijo de Alfamir ni de su amigo. Habemos muchas mujeres que en este momento estamos pasando por esta misma situación, donde nos hemos agrupado a una organización que se llama MOVIS, es Movimiento de Víctimas de Crímenes de Estado. O sea, somos muchas, no es Alfamir nomás, sino que somos muchas.